Hi, welcome to my video on basic dating tips. Today we're going to learn 5 essential elements to a good date. 1, you need to have a plan. 2, you need to look good. 3, you need to be polite. 4, have fun. Otherwise, why are you going on a date? And 5, be confident. So let's talk about point number 1. When you go on a date, before you go on a date, you need to have a plan for what you're going to do. And you need to understand that sometimes what you are planning to do, your goals, may be different from the goals of the person you're dating. And so you also want to understand not only what's your goal, but why is that person going on a date with you? Do they just want a free meal? Do they want to have an enjoyable movie? Are they really into you? This will help you when you make your plans for your dating. Along with that, after you have your initial plan for your date, I strongly recommend you have a backup plan. Now, some people, they don't like to organize things, and they can just get by with being very flexible. But sometimes one of you is very flexible, and one of you is very organized. And so you need to be able to work that out ahead of time. But either way, whether you have a backup plan or you're just going to go free and easy, you need to understand what kind of things that you can do together. And we'll talk more about that later. Along with having a plan, you need to look good. It's always important to dress to impress the other person. You don't have to wear a suit, you don't have to wear a dress, but you do need to look good and show a person that you have made an effort for them. And so the most important thing to do is not about the cost of your clothes, but rather it's how clean you are. You want to have a clean body. You want to brush your teeth. You want to have clean, freshly washed hair. You want to have clean clothes. You look at your fingernails. Are they clean? Are they dirty? I had a roommate who was a mechanic, and he could almost never get clean fingernails. It was a lot of hassle for him. So he needed to go out with girls who didn't mind having mechanics' hands. Now, women, when they go on a date with a guy, when they first meet a guy, they look at his body, and they also look at a guy's eyes. So if you got big glasses like me, you might want to consider going to contacts. So you can see how I look out without my eyes. A lot of women will compliment me on my big eyes if I'm not wearing my glasses. But when I am wearing my glasses, it kind of makes my eyes look kind of small. And so contacts are an excellent way, especially for a guy, to improve his look. Now, women, you can really improve your dating skills by smiling at the right time, because that's what guys really notice. They notice your body, and if you don't have a good body, you probably won't get a good second date. But guys really care about women smiling, and that's why they're always catcalling women as they walk down the street, especially in New York City. It's that guys are really impressed by smiles. And so if you're a woman and you don't smile much, this could be hindering your dating. You don't need to smile to everybody, but you want to signal to your date that you are interested in them, that you appreciate the work they're going through. You need to practice your smile. Guys, you can also practice your smiles. When I was a kid, I never smiled. And my dad would get angry at me, and he would tell me, go to the mirror and practice smiling. Well, that felt pretty stupid. And I never really did become much of a smiler when I was young. Now I do it a little bit, but it's still more theater than it is natural. Number 3 is about being polite. This includes your actions and your conversation. For conversation, just don't say a lot of bad words. Don't curse a lot. Especially when you're on a date, the first or second date. Again, you want to impress the other person. In fact, my whole site is about being a gentleman or being a lady. And so, ladies and gentlemen, they don't curse very often, and when they do for very practical effect. It's not just random cursing. And you want to have polite actions. In the old days, you would open the door for a lady, a gentleman would do many different actions. These days, the rules are kind of changing, but whatever your social situation is, you want to consider what can you do to show that you are a polite person. And not just polite to your date, polite to random strangers in your environment. One of the things that impresses me most is how my date treats other people and how I treat the other people in my environment. Those are ways we can signal and show that we are polite people and that we are considerate people. The next step is to have fun. You know, if a date's no fun, it's probably end pretty quickly. And you won't have second or third dates. So how can you have fun, especially when you're nervous, especially when your first date or even a blind date? Well, you want to consider how you can have win-win activities. Those are activities that both of you like. And how do you do that? Well, as you get to know that person, it's a lot harder if you're just having a date or just pick somebody up in a bar. That's very difficult. But if you get to know the person, if you establish a friendship first, then it becomes a lot easier. You know a little bit about that person. You know what they like. They know what you like. And so it's easier to find activities. One of the mistakes some people make is that they're so desperate to get a date. They will find out what the other person likes and they will do that, even though they don't like it themselves. But most people are pretty observant. They can see if you're not having a good time. And if you're not having a good time, then they're probably not having a good time. Unless you're dating a narcissist, which has its own problems. So what you do, you find activities you like together. And you talk about things that you enjoy. When you have your conversation is about your hobbies and your interests, and also the other person's hobbies and interests. This can be an excellent opportunity to find what you can do on a second and a third date and following dates. And finally, you need to be confident. And there's two levels I want to talk about for this confidence. The first one is charm. To charm someone is to delight them. And so you want to be a person who is charming and delightful. And this means you don't draw too much attention to yourself. Instead, you make the other person feel good about themselves. And how do you do that? You do that by focusing on them and being very interested in what they're saying and what they do. One of the most important elements of this kind of communication is eye-to-eye contact. Now again, when I was a kid, I couldn't even do that. I would look at people, not in their eyes, not in their faces, and people felt I wasn't paying attention. Even though I could repeat everything they said, people just felt I was not really participating in a relationship, in a conversation. And again, my dad trained me, because my dad's got real good social skills. He trained me, Peter, look at somebody's face. Look at their mouth. And most people can't tell the difference between looking at the mouth and looking at the eyes. So if you are a shy person and you feel uncomfortable looking at someone's eyes, look at their mouth. And as they're talking, you can focus on those moving lips. And I swear to you, it works just as good as looking in the eyes, but it's a lot less uncomfortable for you. Charm is also ability to praise people. Now, if you get lucky and you go on a date with a beautiful woman or a handsome guy, it's probably a waste of time to tell them how attractive they are, how beautiful, how handsome they are, because they already know that. Everybody tells a beautiful woman that she's beautiful. In fact, it's kind of boring for her. Instead, you want to find out things that your date wishes other people would notice. For example, if you're with a beautiful woman and you discover that she likes some kind of activity, some kind of pursuit, you find out what she does, and you can praise her for what she does. Perhaps she always wanted to be seen as being smart, but nobody thinks she's smart. If you can praise her for doing anything smart during the date, she will really feel very strongly that that is a charming move. And again, if she wants to be funny, then you praise her for anything funny that she does. And the same way, women, you can praise guys. Guys like praise. But don't just praise them for what everybody praises them for. Praise them for something that seems like more of a hidden or a unique talent. And that will, you'll get a lot more mileage out of that kind of praise. And also, you need to have the confidence to say no. Sometimes you'll have a date that's taking advantage of you or is very pushy, and you need to be able to say, no, I don't want to do that. You need to be able to say, I think we should just go home now. Now, that may or may not lead to further dates, but don't be so desperate that you have to say yes to everything they offer you. You need to be able to respect yourself and be able to say, that doesn't fit with what I want, I'm not going to do that. And so these are the elements that are, I call them basic dating tips. If you will follow them, you'll be on the road to successful dates. Thank you. And if you want more information, please click in the link below.